So what did we decide?
We're in Tet.
What page?
146. We need to finish up. We're finishing up the
let's
Sichot
go.
for Misphatim from the first volume of Likutei Sichot. Okay. Tet. בפרשת השבוע, so we're talking about פרשת השבוע was Misphatim. נאמר, אם כסף תלווה את עמי, right? If you loan money to my people.
That's the Gemach.
ורז"ל אומרים, the sages say, שלמרות שנאמר אם, אין מבונו רשות, כי אם מצווה וחובה. Even though it says if, the word im means if, still, im has different meanings. And here the meaning is when. Not if, but when. It's a mitzvah, it's a duty, it's an obligation for us to loan money to people. והפסוק מגיד דבריו ליעקב הוקם משלטיו בישראל אומרים רז"ל מה שהקדוש ברוך הוא מצווה לישראל לעשות הוא עושה. So there's a verse that says he speaks, he says his words to Jacob, his laws and his, how would you say, Misphatim, and his legal principles to Israel. Say the sages that whatever the Almighty commanded Israel to do, he himself does. That's what this verse means. He says his words to Jacob. He says his laws, meaning they're his. He follows them as well. If he wouldn't follow them, then how could he command anyone else to follow them? And this is what it means, his laws and his legal principles, that he himself performs them. So this we know that the Almighty is also performing the mitzvah of loaning to the poor. How does that work out? Right? We'll see in a moment. First of all, we have to see how it works by people. תוכנה של הלוואה הוא שנותנים כסף לפלוני למרות שלא מגיע לו, עליי אינו נותן דבר תמורתו. A loan means that you're giving money to someone even though he hasn't done anything for you. Okay? He hasn't done anything. He didn't work for you. You're not obligated to give it to him. You give it in spite of the fact that he doesn't deserve it. And he doesn't give you anything in return for the money itself. You may ask for collateral, but that's a different issue. But he doesn't give you anything. What?
For what?
Collateral. In fact, you're not allowed to take anything in return for the money. If you do,
why don't just give him the money straight?
That's tzedakah. That's not a loan. If you just give him the money straight, that's tzedakah. But it's a bigger mitzvah to give him a loan. Why is it a bigger mitzvah? Because in terms of how the person feels about themselves, and taking a loan is much better than needing to take tzedakah. In fact, since you have a big mach, then I don't want to ruin anything. But a lot of times you have to see whether the people, whether you're not without meaning to, but driving a person to a lower place psychologically, where they become dependent. The worst thing that the Torah. Okay.
I never give them for money.
But a lot
they
of
give them money when they're making a wedding or a bar mitzvah.
For instance,
He gives them 1,000 shekels. It doesn't pay for the whole thing, but it's underwriting the whole enterprise.
Most of the people that do a gemach, most of the gemachs in the firm world are not tzedakah. They're loans. Mm-hmm. It's a bigger headache. It's It's much bigger a headache. But still, it's very good. In terms of their standing in life, it's much better. It's much better for a person to owe money than to take tzedakah. I'm just saying, I don't know. You probably thought it out, but I know that the people who are most involved today in finances are not willing to give tzedakah. They only give loans. They give a lot of loans, and no ribbis, nothing. No interest at all, because you're not allowed to take interest. The moment you're taking interest, you're taking something in return for giving them the money that you can't do. But it's not a gift as a tzedakah would be. He's supposed to give it back after some time. So how does Hashem perform the mitzvah of giving a loan? So Hashem gives us all kinds of things, all kinds of talents that we have, the strength that we have. Many of these things, this is what He gives us. everything, but כן. אבל הוא דורש לנצל כל זה לשם השלמת שליחותו. But he requests, he demands, how do you return the loan? You return it by performing your mission in life. להחזיר זאת בחוקיו ומשפטיו. To return it with his laws and his legal principles.
Judgments.
What does that mean? That when you act according to his laws, according to his legal principles, then that's considered returning the loan. בעניין של נתינת דבר לשם החזרתו, ישנם שני סוגים. Now he says, in general, when you give something to someone else, and it's given with the purpose that it be returned, there are two different types. She'ela v'halva. There's a loan, that's a halva, but there's also she'ela, which in English is pretty much the same word. It also means to loan something, but how would you say it, like in a more exact terminology? It's like taking something for taking an object. Let's say, if it's an object, then it's called a she'ela in Hebrew. It has a different word. In English, I think it's the same word. It's just loan. If you're taking money, it's called a loan. It's called a leva. What's the difference if you take an object or you take money? B'she'ela chayav, ההבדל בינינו, right? This is the second part of the Sichot. The second part of the Sichot is always havdalah. It's always about some kind of separation, some kind of distinction that the Rebbe builds. בשאלה חייב השואל להחזיר אותו דבר שקיבל. When it's a loan of an object, you have to bring back the same object. Exactly the same object. אין הדבר הופך להיות שלו. The object itself does not become yours. ואילו מלווה להוצאה ניתנה. But when you give money, obviously you don't have to return the same money. The money becomes yours, הוא הופך להיות לגמרי של הלווה, והרשות בידו להשתמש בו לכל הצרכים. And he has the right to use it in any way that he sees fit. You don't tell him, okay, you can only use it for this, you can't use it for that. Once it's out of your hands, it's out of your hands. He has to return the same sum, but so what does that mean technically? Technically it means that the loan, when it's money, does not have to be handy. Right? He doesn't have to have the sum. I put it on the table there. So the money itself is not available at every moment. When you're loaning an object, the object itself has to be available. The object is you can't do anything with the object that would ruin it. You can't take it and give it to someone else that you're not allowed to do, and so on. והרשות בידו ישתמש בו לכל הצרכים. הטעם לכך שניתן את הכוח לידי הקדוש ברוך הוא כסף תבן נקרא בשם הלוואה, ולפי שכוח זה יכולים בני ישראל לקחת ולנצלו להשפעה בענייניו, אפילו כשהם עניינים פחותים. So now, the reason that we say that God giving us life and everything that He gives us is a loan, we don't say that it's an object that He's giving. We say it's similar to giving money, not to an object, is because we can do with it whatever we see fit. It's very important to know that a person decides in the end what he does with his energy. He decides in the end what he does with everything that God gave him. It could be lower things, things that are, what should we say, fixing the toilet at home. Okay. If somebody would give a tzedakah to an institute, and they would say we're going to use it to fix the toilets, you wouldn't be very happy.
Right, I'd be very happy.
No, most people wouldn't give. They want it. That's the problem that all institutions have. It's very hard for them to get money for maintenance. It's very easy to get money for a plaque. Okay? That's the problem. But Hashem doesn't make any. When it's a loan, you don't have that stipulation. Whatever they need it for. If they need it to fix toilets, that's what they need it for. It says now we can take this principle and apply it in general and specifically to learning Chassidus. יש כאלה הסוברים שללימוד תורת החסידות על האדם להיות תחילה זהיר בתכלית, אף בדקדוק קל של דברי סופרים וידור מצווה. There are those who think that Chassidus is the cherry on top of the cake. If you're not stringent, if you're not makpid on everything from beginning to end, and you haven't already learned the entire Torah, well, it doesn't say you're learning the entire Torah, but people think that you have to be the frummest person in the world, you're not capable of learning Chassidus. You shouldn't be learning it. It's above your pay grade. וכל עוד הוא חושש שלא הגיע עדיין לדרגה הזו, כל שכן שהוא יודע שהוא עלול לעתים להיכשל בהידור מצווה ודקדוק קל של דברי ספרים, ואף בדבר שהוא מדרבנן, או אפילו מדאורייתא. It goes from the small to the harsher. אם בעניין של קום ועשה, או בדבר של שב ואל תעשה, הרי לדעתו אינו מוכשר לעסוק בלימוד תורת החסידות ועבודת התפילה, ובכלל בעניינים מנהלים. So the person thinks, if I haven't reached that level yet, where I'm not good on everything, from beginning to end, I'm not ready yet to learn Chassidus, and to engage in the toil of davening, which is a special toil. And in general, in lofty things. But it says that when you give a loan, money loan, it's given for all the expenses. So even though, as high as Chassidus is, and the Alter Rebbe likened Chassidus to the special precious stone in the crown of the king. Without it, the crown is not a crown. That's what Chassidus is. It's a crown in the king's crown. It's the precious stone in the king's crown. Because Hashem gave you this precious stone, it's up to you to use it however you see fit. Every person. כל יהודי נדרש שככל שיעמוד בדרגה פחותה לא יגרע יום אחד מלימוד שיעורו בתורת החסידות. Every Jew is required that, regardless of what level he's at, there shouldn't be one day in which he doesn't learn Chassidus. ואפילו בא ביום שנכשל חס וחלילה בדאורייתא, even if on that day he's transgressed a mitzvah d'oraisa, an obligation from the Torah, or a prohibition from the Torah. אם בדבר של קום ועשה מדבר של שב ואל תעשה. לא יחסיר בו ביום את קיום שיעורו בתורת החסידות. On that day he should not fail to learn Chassidus, especially on that day. ולא רק בעניין שעוסק בעבודת השם, כי אם אף בעניין השכלתי שמשום רום עומקו אינו יודע כלל כיצד לקרבו אליו. And we're not even talking about something like davening, like avoda, that applying Chassidus. We're talking about even learning the highest, loftiest concept that he himself doesn't even know how to understand. If that's what his learning is every day, that he needs to continue learning it. You can't say, now I'm not raw, I'm not at that level. Why does God give this money, this power, this energy that we have, all the talents that we have? Because it's to his people. It says, "In kesef tarve'etani," if you loan money to my people. It says that in principle you would have thought that what's the difference? Every human being is a creation of God. I have an equal obligation towards everyone. He says this is true. But the pasuk says, but the verse says that you have to first give to the Jew and then give to someone else. If you have X amount and it's only enough for the Jew, you have to give it to the Jew first. It's not that you don't have to give it to someone else, you do. But your first obligation is to give to Jews. So there is the thinking, and it's very right, it's correct, that I should give to everyone equally. But the pasuk tells you that first of all you have to give to a Jew. From this we see that Hashem is not asking, because it could be a non-Jew who's more righteous than a Jew in terms of his actions. He's a bigger Baal Chesed, he's a bigger tzaddik, whatever it is. He says Hashem doesn't look at it that way. From this we learn that Hashem is not looking at your actions in order to ascertain whether you're worthy or not. This is something from the Maimer that he said in the Sichot. That the Almighty, is a different connotation for the Almighty, it's a very special one, from Avodah Sichot, from Rabbi Meir ibn Gabai. It's one of the first books of Kabbalah that forged the way for Chassidus. We see that there's a level in the godliness where we don't know which God prefers. Because by the Sovev, because we've been learning it, the Sovev sees everything equally. So the Rasha and the Tzaddik are all the same thing. It doesn't matter, they're all creations, they're all part of his creation. So since they're all part of his creation, he takes care of them equally. That's the level of the Sovev. ויש צורך, איני יודע באיזה מהם חפץ. I don't know which one he wants, because he takes care of the Rashaim just as much as he takes care of the Tzaddikim. ואיני יודע באיזה מהם חפץ. I don't know which one he wants them. So therefore, again, that's the level at which you're obligated to give to everyone, equally. אבל יש צורך בלימוד מיוחד לכך, משום שעלולה שם להיות נתינת מקום לכך שהדבר יהיה בצורה שונה, ורק מבני הבחירה העצמותית שקדוש ברוך הוא בחר מנשמות ישראל המקודם. So there you could have said that he wants to loan to everyone equally. He could have given Chassidus to everyone. He gave it to us. Why? Because there's a level of choice that Hashem makes, which is called the atzmus, which is called the essence. And all the choice comes from that place. And how can Hashem choose between a Jew and a non-Jew? They're all the same. He says, no, the choice there comes from an essential point where you can't understand why the choice is. It's atzmi. It's something that has no explanation. So he chose to give first to the souls of Israel. The fact that we're equal, that's what the Navi says. Esav and Yaakov are brothers, no Hashem. But V'ohavit Yaakov et Esav saneti. And still I love Jacob and I hate Esav. Even though they're brothers, they're the same. He's not judging it based on whether Yaakov is a bigger tzaddik than Esav. Because they're brothers, they're equal. What is he judging it based on? He's not judging it. He has this proclivity. He has this feeling, it can't be explained, that Yaakov I love and Esav I hate. לפיכך אח עשיו ליעקב, שניהם בדרגה שווה, ובכל זאת משום הבחירה והעצמותית ואהב את יעקב. We're almost done. זה גם פירוש הנאמר, אם כסף תלווה, כסף רומז לאהבה. That's why it says, if you loan money to my people. כסף, money, in Hebrew, is כיסופים, it's love. ראשון נחשוף נחשפת לבית אביך. כלומר, המילווה, נתינת הכוח, אינה בגלל העבודה, כי אם בגלל האהבה העצמותית של הקדוש ברוך הוא לגבי ישראל. So the reason he's giving us all these strengths are not because we did something for him. It's just because he loves us essentially. משום שנתינת הכוח מהדרגה בה אינו נוגע מעשה התחתונים. Level you're at. Chassidus belongs to everybody equally. שכן במקום שמנו נובע כוח זה לא יביא היעדר העבודה לפגם. You can't blemish this place because Hashem is giving it regardless of what state you're in. זה גם משמעות המשך הכתוב, את העני עמך. למרות שהוא עני, הוא התבונן במעמדו ומצבו והוא מדוכא מכך, ואומנם יש לו ממעליות מדוכא, he recognizes that he's a pauper, that he's missing things, that he doesn't have everything, still, you have to look at him as if he's worthy of everything. He's equally worthy of what you're going to give. שכנאהבה עצמותית משיגה את הכל גם אותו, because the essential love is towards every single Jew, it's the same. ואדרבה, משום שהוא עני, ידוע הרי שהקדוש ברוך הוא שוכן בתוך לב נשבר ונתקה דווקא. And even more so, even if he doesn't know anything, in this case he's ani badat, he doesn't have knowledge, so that's where Hashem wants to dwell. לא תהיה לו כנושה, but there's another important point, this is the most important point of the Sichot. אם אין לו, לא תהיה לו כנושה, Hashem is not like a loaner. Like a noshe is somebody that you owe money to. A noshe is someone who comes, v'anoshe ba, it's the repo man. You know what a repo man is, right? They have that in England. A repossession man. The guy who comes around and if you haven't paid your debts, then he repossesses stuff. He takes your car, he takes your oven, he takes things. That's a noshe. It's a famous story that we read in Chayei Sarah, in the Haftarah Chayei Sarah, that this woman, V'isha achad mibnei neviim tza'aka el Elisha, she called out to Elisha, I don't have anything at home, and the noshe is coming. And the repo man is coming. What is he coming to take? My children. He used to take the children into slavery. Indentured servitude. It's still slavery. And he used to do that. And by the way, is it permitted according to Torah? You have to know Baba Metzia to know the answer to that question. אם אין ללווה במה לשלם, כך שהתביעה לא תעזור כלום. The Torah though says you're not allowed to do that. Okay? In principle, you shouldn't do that. You're allowed to, but you shouldn't. Hashem certainly keeps this law. So he doesn't act like a repossession man. He doesn't stick around waiting to take something from you in return for what he gave to you. If a person doesn't have, you shouldn't pressure them. In fact, the halacha says that if seeing you will cause him distress, you shouldn't walk by his house if he owes you money. כפי שדובר לעיל, let's just finish it. We're almost done. כפי שדובר לעיל, מגיד דבריו ליעקב, מה שהוא מצווה לבניו, הוא עושה. He himself, Hashem does the same thing, כך גם למעלה. כשתביעה על ידי קו השמאל בייסורים אין מועילים כלום, הרי לגבי תביעה סתם לא תהיה לו כנושה. If you owe something to Hashem, if you have nothing to give it back with, Hashem doesn't bring Yisurim on you. It doesn't bring any harsh things on you. It's very important to say that Hashem didn't bring whatever you're facing, Hashem didn't bring it on you. According to the Rambam, who brought it on you? You did.
You're a virus.
No, not even you're a virus. It's not because he wants his money back. ככתוב, על מה תוכו עוד תוסיפו שרה? על מה תוכו? How should I hurt you further? The only thing you'll do is, you'll be worse. So punishing you is not going to help, says the Navi in Yishai. על מה תוכו? כיוון שאין הדברים מעולים. Why should I punish you more since it doesn't help anyway? וארבע, עוד תוסיפו שרה. You'll act even worse because you won't even have the presence of mind to do anything you were doing before that was good. כשהקדוש ברוך הוא רואה שבקו השמאל אין תועלת, יתחילו בקו הימין בקירוב, בחסד ורחמים, ובטוב הנראה והנגלה. So when Hashem sees that punishing the person doesn't help, so he gives more. He goes by chesed. And that's usually what happens if you double down on the loan. If he wasn't able to return it first, give him more. When he has more, he'll be able to return also the rest of it. So that's how. Why is this Havdalah? Havdalah is about identity. We'll have to talk about that tomorrow.
In the yeshiva in Hood, when it was first founded, there were no toilets. Guys wanted to go, they had to go out in the fields.
Yeah. You told me this story. Yeah, tell me. I don't remember.
And one day some rich American lady comes to Shiva, she wants to look around, she's going to give a big donation.
Yeah.
So she goes to, what's it called? What?
So it can be heard.
So she, you know who was in charge of Lud Yeshivas and everything in those days? Was, Wolf, Frank Wolf.
Yeah.
She shows her around with the upstairs, downstairs, inside, outside. And then she says, well, I didn't see any bathrooms. She says, no, there's no bathrooms. The doctor had to use the fields. So 2 days later, Rabbi Hodikoff was, on behalf of the Rebbe, why is there no Shivatim in the yeshiva? We want Shivatim in there, we better get on with it now. They say, a friend of mine who was there says that it was Rebbe Simcha Mushka who came to Shiva.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
Says.
Yeah. It wasn't in the Meretz Yisrael.
I don't have proof of that.
Yeah, it's okay.
And he was there when she came.